And I think, and we sort of alluded to this earlier, I think part of the issue is that AI, for the people that are actually engaging and using it, they see it as too much of a shortcut, like a one prompt stop. And it's
Yep.
not. It's a it could be days or weeks or
Yeah.
months. But what you could do in a month, depending on how many prompts and what you're doing and your subscription and all that, which not necessarily for this, but in a month you could do in a year or 2 years
Mm-hmm.
with multi employees. Um, when we're talking about the actual progression of how fast things are changing, what is your method of trying to stay current on what is good? Or on the other side, is good enough with what you're doing on these projects or what you're using? Like you said, you have all five. So I know that
Mm-hmm.
you are very interested, but like when you're working with a project, are you always searching for the best model out there, or is sometimes good enough for your project is good enough? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think I always try to play into each one's strengths, right? So like one of the things I talk about in the book also is that, well, not in the Let the AI Be Smart, but in the second book, The Room, it's like each one of the AIs kind of has their own personality, right? And it depends on what you're trying to accomplish is what kind of person you need to talk to, right? So ChatGPT I see is like my scientist lawyer uncle. He's always got all the facts. He's always I's dotted, T's crossed. And
Sure.
Claude is like your cool cousin, the one that's always been so cool. Like every time he comes over, he's just the coolest guy ever, knows everything. You know what I mean? He's just always got a funny answer or whatever. Gemini is like your older brother. He's like more responsible and more reserved, which is funny because it's the most money was spent on it. But and then Grok is like your hothead little brother. He's always the fastest to come back with something. And so depending on what you're trying to get, then also Grok is tied to X, right? So if you're trying to get like public sentiment around a topic or something to that effect, you want to use something that actually is attached to public sentiment,
I
right? Which
love
is
that.
X.
I love that. I don't know if this is true. This is anecdotal, and I don't have a lot of proof because this show is new. But anytime I'm doing anything with YouTube, I tend to use Gemini because it's a Google product and it should
Right.
know
Yeah.
YouTube's algorithms and backend or sentiment a
Right.
little bit better, right? But
Yeah,
I,
absolutely.
I
You would hope
agree.
so.
You would hope so. So, how does if you were a non-user today,
Mm-hmm.
right? You watch this podcast, you're like, damn, Jason really made some good points. Only in the first 15 minutes, which is crazy. You, what model, what platform would you start with?
What are you trying to create?
Oh, interesting, interesting. I'm talking for the small business, not necessarily create a app or web, but maybe a process. Like
Mm-hmm.
I
Well, again, though, that it depends on what you're trying to create because each of these leans into strengths of each one of these subscriptions, right? Like, so if you're trying to do something with imagery, let's say you're trying to go into design for people, right? And you're trying to create product photos or product imagery or something to that effect. ChatGPT is probably going to be your best one because GPT's been the longest in the game creating images, right? Grok is coming up fast and getting a lot better, but you have to be way better at prompting for Grok than you do for GPT. GPT, you can just kind of talk to it about your idea and it'll give you exactly what you wanted almost every single time. And
yeah.
you can tell it to change. Oh, I don't like the way that line comes across here, and you can circle that on the thing and send it back to GPT, and it'll drop that specific thing out and keep the rest of the image perfect. It's amazing at it. And so if you're trying to do something like maybe a clothing line or something to that effect, and you're trying to get transparent imagery with designs that you like to put on shirts that are unique, ChatGPT is where you want to go. Maybe Grok, right? Gemini's not very good at it in Gemini, but the tools for that outside of that, like what is it, Nano Banana and all those, right? Those are getting way better now too. They can actually do text and stuff, right? But if you're looking for code, you want Claude or GPT in there. I've tried Gemini a bunch of times, and every time I try it, it's just not there. It's just really not.
The
Yeah,
front, like you
Claude
said, the
is
front
all
end,
the way there.
Gemini's front end does really well. Like it can
Mm-hmm.
get you a decent design, but the back end
It's
in
garbage.
comparison, it's just not there. It's just
Yeah.
not there. So going back to both of your books, and really now your second book, The Room, you're we're moving into this period of time where AI is going to be a part of everybody's life, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Um,
Getting closer and closer
and
every minute.
you could use one, but you're basically saying you really shouldn't. So,
Hmm.
how important is it to have a system set up like the room, in your opinion? And what drove you, or like, what was that sort of light bulb moment for you that was like, man, I got to put all these things together and
Hmm.
make them work?
Um, so I think you're actually meaning like the council, right?
Yeah, the council.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, the room is a slightly different concept. It utilizes the council as well, but the room is more of a like life partner system that uses all 4 or 5 of the AI platforms, that would be able to like be your business partners throughout your life and whatnot, right? And then you get to, like, say I pass away at some point in time. Well, where's all my passwords, right? What's going on with that business deal? How does my wife know what was going on between me and Jeff versus Doug, right, in the business? My
Yeah.
wife would never be able to understand that stuff without digging through emails and searching and not knowing which email it comes to. I have 20 fucking emails,